be adding people to our meeting. Right, so one more time, hello everyone. My name is Anna, and today we're going to talk about how to make your lessons more enjoyable for your children, yourselves, and consequently, those lessons will be recommended by parents to other parents, and you'll become more and more popular as a teacher. So I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. So I did my CELTA course in June 2009, and I became an English teacher and started working in the same company in September same year. And after my intensive CELTA, I got courage, and I also did a young learners course. And back then there were very few, and one of them was International House course for young learners. In 2011, I became an international examiner. That was another step in my career. So I know also a little bit about exams. Later on, I've decided that just a second. Second technical problem. Okay, can you hear me right now? Okay, sorry about that. The Bluetooth earphones. So in 2015, I've decided to take my next step, which was Delta Module 1. After that, Module 2 and Module 3, they were quite challenging. It took me a couple of years to do that, but that's enabled me to become a CELTA trainer. And in 2017, I did my trainer in training program and successfully became a CELTA trainer. Some of you may know me from the courses before, and yes, that's very nice to see you here too. And the same year, after becoming CELTA trainer, I decided to also become a CELTS and CELTP trainer. These are courses for teaching younger learners, and we'll talk a little bit about them today. And if you have any questions, I'll tell you more about those courses. And since 2010, I've been presenting in different conferences. I've taken part as a presenter and just a participant. And I've traveled abroad, presented abroad, and also traveled around Ukraine, giving some presentations. Perhaps someone have seen me in their schools or maybe in conferences in other cities around Ukraine. Right, so that's basically it about me. So as you may see, I've got some experience in teaching, and I would really like to share my knowledge with you today. Right, so let's look at the young learners, the people we teach, the kids we teach. So if we look at the basic characteristics of them, we can say that at the age of 5 or 7, they can describe their actions and they can talk about things they do. This is very useful for us if we want to teach them what they can do or can't. They can also express in basic language, of course, but they can express their experience, things they've done, they've heard, seen. So this is useful if we talk about things if we want them to do some comprehension tasks and maybe activities like listen and do, this sort of activities. They are at this age, they're able to give some logical reasoning, and they can understand your basic instructions and what you want from them and how they need to approach a task. Of course, if we're talking about some rather basic activities. If they don't like something, they can explain you why they don't like it, and probably even find the way or tell you the way how they want to do it in a maybe different way. As they are still kids, they have very nice and vivid imagination, and this is very helpful for us when we ask them to draw something, to probably invent, if they need to mime some actions or mime some animals, right? We also like using that in our lessons. And they can also understand things like direct human interactions, which helps us if we want to organize pair work or some sort of active game, board game, things like run and touch, and if they need to exchange some basic information between each other. In general, so when we talk about things that happen in class and how can we or what we need to take into account when we come into our classroom, and what we need to understand when our students come to our lesson. So the basic physiological needs are at the bottom of Maslow's pyramid of needs. So if your room is stuffy, it can affect negatively the atmosphere in the classroom. If your students are hungry, thirsty, if they feel tired, all these things can affect your lesson, and your student may misbehave just because, for example, they are hungry. So we had a case, I was observing one of my colleagues, she asked me for help. And one girl, there was some pair work, a guessing game, and the teacher asked the girl so she could change her seating to work with another girl, and she just said no. She refused. So the teacher asked, okay, can you please do it for some time, and or for just 5 minutes? That was like, an absolute no. So what the teacher did, she asked another girl just to move closer to that, the one who didn't want to move. And later, when the activity stopped, she asked that girl, like, what was wrong? Why didn't you want to move? Don't you like to work with this, with your friend? She said, no, the friend is fine. I'm just hungry. So you may feel that the girl doesn't, or the student doesn't want to move for some reasons. Maybe they don't want to talk to each other, but apparently she was just hungry, and it can, really affect the case. Of course, well, theoretically, we can do nothing about it if the parents didn't give enough snack to school with them, or maybe they didn't have time to eat. So it's just a thing to bear in mind. Water, again, could be after an activity where they ran or jumped. Yes, they could also feel thirsty, so you can offer them to have a sip of water, or some juice if they have anything like that. when we're talking about safety, we can think about our classroom. Mhm. That's physical environment. If you have maybe some sharp corners, or if you have too many desks in the classroom where it's not convenient maybe to move, and if the students are playing some active game, they may push each other. So this is something that we should take care of and look at our like physical environment in the classroom, just to make sure that nobody gets hurt, and the emotions stay positive. As for psychical, right, this is more about bullying and maybe not wanting one person to work with another or making comments. So in this case, it's also our job to nicely work with children, and sometimes either tell them that it's not something that we should be doing in our classroom. Or another way of dealing with this is playing some games, and team building activities. We'll talk about them a little bit later. So when your students feel physically convenient, comfortable, when this chair is comfortable, and if everything around them is safe and they feel safe, then they are ready to work with you, and they're ready to respond to what you basically want from them. And at this point, right, you can start thinking about and building um, other stuff, thinking about other stuff. So for no newer needs, if you plan to work with activities like Kahoot or Quizlet, uh, sometimes it happens that the students have low battery. So I very often have my own phone, and I just share my phone. I have both applications like Quizlet or Kahoot installed on my phone, and whenever students need, they can use them. Also, I usually allow my students to use sockets if they need to charge their phones, and we also share the Wi-Fi. Sometimes modern kids, they even know how to share their own Wi-Fi or their data internet with other students. So it's just for you to know that these technical issues may also be um, kind of present in your lesson. So whenever you plan something with technology, it's a good idea to have that backup plan of your own telephone, or maybe if you have a spare charger for the students to use that. So once you're set with Wi-Fi, and once everybody is ready to work, we should also think about the attention span, which is for younger kids is very short. What it means is that the kids will not be able to sit and write for 10 minutes uh, in a row. For them, moving and changing the interactions and the activities is very important. It will help you very much to keep the class both organized and fun for the kids. Because for them, this illusion of changing activities, where they, for example, they ran a little bit, they played a game, then they sat down and they, for example, played some game with flashcards. It's less active than running, but it's a game, and they're sitting and working constructively together. So organization, it's very important also to bear in mind things like kids need some time alone. So if we worked quite well, a couple of activities, they were either pair work or group work, and they had to talk to each other, maybe dictate something to each other. There is a time in the classroom when they need to sit down and work individually, either color something, draw, write, even if it's a simple picture dictation, when you say a word and they draw. This is individual work. So this time when they focus on their paper or notebook or book, or they individually listen and watch to a cartoon or a video, this is essential for them because later on they will, while this individual work, they will restore their energy and they will be ready to cooperate with other kids on the next step of your lesson. So as for the pace, yes, it's connected to this stirring and settling activities, but also it's important not to have too many stirring activities. Otherwise, it will be a nightmare to sit them down. They will be just jumping, running around, and that will be complete hell. And vice versa. It could be the same. A lot of settling activities can have the same effect. If you keep the energy under the pressure for very, very long time, what happens with the energy at the end? It explodes. So the same thing happens with kids. If they sit still at some for for quite a long time, you can see they start fidgeting, they start moving around, they need to touch someone, they start moving their legs, they start playing with their pencils, they start moving something in their books, and you would think like, why we are writing, but it means that they've accumulated some energy which they need to free, and in that case it's high time to give them some sort of activity when they need to stand up and do physically something. As for the voice, it can be very effective tool in your teaching, and with that, you can use it to grab their attention, to give some instructions. And whenever you either raise your voice to, for example, maybe drill some words, or you can raise your voice to drill one word and then whisper for something else. It could also be when you demonstrate your instructions or an activity. It can also be very powerful mean in your lesson. So once we know everything, now we can come to the classroom management. And classroom management is complex thing. So first of all, we need to take into account a very important thing. It's rapport. It's basically how good friends you are with your kid, with the kids you teach. Of course, I'm not saying that it has to be completely informal. So the rapport is more of a combination of you showing them that you are their friend and that you are a human being that cares about their progress, cares about their interests, cares about their success and progress. and also that you are still an educator and you're still there to help them, but they also need to know that you respect them and they should also respect you. So this mutual understanding of respect and fun will help you a lot. As for the fun, once you've built your positive rapport, there comes engagement. So once they know that they can have fun, that you are a teacher who also likes playing games, who also likes telling jokes, they will enjoy the lesson and they will be engaged in the activities that you provide them with. Once they know that this is fun and that the tasks and materials you choose are interesting and you take care of or you take into account their interests, they will be naturally motivated to work with you and to do the activities that you prepare for them. And regardless of what you prepare, they will be motivated and they will have a lot of energy to work with you and to take part and learn. And once they know how your activities work, and they know that you are a fair teacher, and that even though you have a lot of fun in the classroom, bearing in mind that you are an educator and you're there to facilitate their learning, there is also a place for rules, which should be fair and clear for everybody. So we'll look a little bit into these and how they are combined in what we do in the lesson. So first of all, in any classroom, there has to be clear routine, or how you organize your lesson should be pretty much the same. Because if your students know what is going to happen and there won't be any surprises, they will feel safer. And once they feel safer, they are ready to work with you and do whatever you want them to. Okay. So before the lesson, so in general, you can teach them that they probably should arrive on time and they shouldn't be late for class. That for every lesson, they should bring their books. They should bring their pens, pencils. If they like coloring or using their own markers and felt tip pens, they are free to do so, but they also know, for example, that in my class, there's always a set of colored pens and pencils and markers for them to use in case they forgot something. Also, I teach my kids that it's fine if they forgot their book. We all are human beings. Parents are very often very busy, and it may happen that they forgot their books somewhere. And my students know where the teacher's room is, and they know that it's fine to find me and tell me that they forgot their book so I can prepare a copy for them. If the kids are not so confident in doing this, I usually tell the parents that it's fine. If you need a copy, let me know in advance. It's better because usually students, in the middle of the classroom, they say, oh, I don't have a book. And you have to kind of drop everything and run to the teacher's room and make a copy, or you need to share your book, which is also a possible solution. But what I tell my students that if they need to write something, they can look in my book, but they write either with the pencil, which I give them because I know that they won't confuse pen and pencil, and uh, or sometimes I just ask another student to share their book. So before the class begins, and if you let your students 2, 3, maybe 5 minutes earlier, they will have time to take off their coats and jackets. And, younger kids are not very, how to say, they don't move very fast. And for them, sometimes it takes too much time to take their coats and jackets off, prepare everything, take out their pens, pencils, and books. So just before the lesson, 2, 3 minutes for them to get ready, and they would also feel more confident that they know, okay, it's, for example, 3 o'clock, I'm ready to work, and my teacher is ready, everybody's ready, and I'm not late. Because very often students feel frustrated that they're late, either because they just feel that being late is not very polite, or sometimes they know that there is a game at the beginning of the lesson, so they don't want to miss it because the kids like playing games. Um, Another reason could be because some kids want to check their homework and they want to receive either a smiley face or a sticker or just a tick from a teacher saying that, acknowledging that yes, they did their homework and the teacher checked and their homework is right. So that's another important thing for kids. Mhm. Um, if you have bigger desks, so your kids can make this what's called Bookcake. So when they put everything in a little pile next to them, and they are ready with their student's book, activity book, copybook or notebook, whatever they have, and their pencil case. In our school, we don't have these big desks. We have a chair and a flip over desk. And very often students drop everything. So they start moving, the books slide down, pencils also go somewhere on the floor and they start looking for them. For me, a solution is I ask them to take out everything from their bags and just put it in this Bookcake under their chairs. So they know that whenever they need to, they will go under their chairs, take what they need, and be ready to work. So for you, it's up according to the facilities you have. That's about like choose what's better for you. All right. So once you started the class, right? So everybody is ready, so you can start to work. It's good idea to write down the date on the board, to tell the students when they what date it is, and give some little acknowledgement of routines. Or you can describe the weather. Sometimes it could be tossing the toy. Mhm. One of my colleagues, she had pictures with flashcards with weather, and students stood around the chair where the pictures were face down, and one kid would pick up a card. There is a cloud. They would look outside the window and say, oh, it's not cloudy today. Let's imagine we're looking outside our window. In Kiev, it's sunny. And the next one would take, and it's windy. There is wind on the picture. So in that case, it's still talking about the weather, but in a little bit different way. And if you do it every lesson, gradually, I saw that this teacher who had this routine at the beginning, she would ask the students to do it themselves. So at the beginning of the course in September, October, November, she was doing it together with them. So they had this model of what they had to do. Later on, so she stepped out and she would just nominate the person who would start. Every time it would be a different person. But the kids would just play the game themselves without the teacher because they knew the routine very well and it was always the same. So they felt comfortable and they really didn't need the teacher for that activity. And also they felt responsible for that activity, which is also something that you can, give your students a sense that you're not the only boss. They can also, take charge of things in the lesson. And okay. Oh, sorry. So it could be once they've worked with the weather, wake up, shake up, there are different activities for active participation, some movement before the lesson begins. So the students can do some game or they can do some, like physical TPR or some sort of, the typical one is head, shoulders, knees, and toes. There are also songs like Hello, How Are You? It could be a mingling activity when they actually walk around and shake their hands and say hello to each other. In our environment, probably shaking hands wouldn't be the best idea, but they can wave at each other, right? In order to keep, germs away from spreading. There is an activity, it's called Circle of. So could be a circle of trust, circle of information, circle of fun. You can choose the name for it. Every lesson, my students and I, we get together in a circle, and by sharing our personal information, we also revise some grammar and vocabulary that we learned previously. So for example, you as a teacher, you begin with, for example, I like cats. So let's imagine we learned animals and we learned I like. What about you? And this question, what about you, let's say for lower levels, is important because it also teaches that they are friends and they communicate. And this what about you also helps them to listen to each other. And some of them naturally respond, oh, yes, yes, me too, me too. This circle can take at the beginning of the course from 1 to 2 minutes. Closer to the end of the course, it can take up to 5-6 minutes. You can also add an element of differentiation, and you can say, today I like something else. So if you want to change the information, they can play the game just by saying, today I like something different. You can also add negative sentences. I like, I don't like, can, can't, I've got, I haven't got. They can describe their room, so you name it. But they will speak about themselves. It will be interesting for them to share their own information. And also they will be interested in listening to you as a model. and also finding out something that can be similar to them, right? And after this circle, yes, day of trust, circle of fun, uh, you can ask them to sit down and start checking homework. So at the beginning of the class, if you do this every time consistently, your students will feel safer. They will know uh, what at the beginning, what's happening next, and when the homework is checked and if it's checked, because they also want to get appreciation for the work they did. Or you also need to know as a teacher if they didn't do their homework. So I usually give them a smiley face if they draw it with my marker, a smiley face if they did their homework, and frowny face, maybe frowny face with a little tongue sticking out, indicating that they didn't do their homework. Some teachers put stickers as an indication of homework completion. It's up to you. My kids were happy just to get a smiley face. And if you praise alongside the smiley face, it will be more than enough. Because sometimes giving out stickers may have a negative effect. They can start demanding stickers for everything they've done. And still, when there is a sticker, they get an idea that everything can be exchanged and they can get something valuable, material. However, learning is not quite material thing, right? So learning, they should know and feel that they are appreciated for learning, for making effort, and that the person who asked them to do homework or something or an activity, they are happy because the kid succeeded. So sometimes could be with the sticker, but more often I personally prefer putting just smiley faces, maybe two, maybe three for excellent work. But I don't really give out too many stickers. Right. So in the class, so while everything is happening in your classroom, so you've prepared an activity and you know that these are handouts. So you can always ask your student, one of the students, to, for example, Misha, can you help me, please? Can you give one copy per one student? They are always more than happy to help you. In our center, we have a sanitizer. So if they don't feel comfortable handing out materials, so they can sanitize their hands, and again, teaching them a little bit of, this, let's say, in a way, self-protection. But still, they can do something for you. And whenever you plan an activity, let's imagine it's run and touch. Instead of you spending some time putting the pictures around your classroom, you can take your activities like in a little fan, your flashcards. It's as if it's a fan, and you ask, okay, come everybody, come here, take one, put it face down or face up. It depends on what level of difficulty you want to choose. Students are very happy. They put everything faces up, and they are ready to play. Basically, you didn't need to do anything, just to tell them what to do. If you want to change the position of cards, you can also teach them that they can take the card and change the position, ask them to move the cards anywhere they want. They will again feel responsible for the activity. They will also feel that this is fair because they moved the cards around. It wasn't you, because sometimes kids may feel that you are biased for some reason. So I would say that this is a very good way of engaging your students in the lesson, keeping them stirred a little bit, and also motivated to work together constructively with each other. Okay. Let's imagine they've been very active, or they were discussing something, and you can also use during the lesson some signals. There are very many of them. The most popular, I'm pretty sure you know, it's mac and cheese, everybody freeze. You can use this one. There are very many signals like this online. If you Google them, there are, tons of them. I invented, I would say, maybe my own. So they were writing something or doing, and what I tell them: touch your nose, touch your head, put your hand behind your back. So then with their hand behind the back, they do the same with the left hand, and I say again, touch your nose, touch your head, put your hand behind your back. Once they did it slowly, then I ask them, okay, now let's do it faster. So their attention switches to different activity. And once they did this, nose, head, hands behind the back, it's difficult to move like this, right? Because you have your hands behind your back. There is nothing you can kind of touch, take, no pens and pencils in their hands. So in this case, they're ready to listen to you and to get ready for the next activity. If you don't like this one, you can choose any other. There is another one. You say class, and boys and girls, they need to reply yes. Very often they start saying no, but even if they say no, it means they're listening to you. With the voice projection, yes, you can signal them. And if you shout or say it loudly, they respond loudly. If you say it quietly, they also need to respond quietly. So this level of voice in these cases can help a lot, again, to drag their attention, to switch their attention to something else, and it will enable you to prepare them for something new, for the next activity. So they are very useful, especially if your students are engaged in some running activity or maybe coloring activity. Everything is at their own pace, and to round up everything, this helps a lot. Teacher signals, again, something similar. 1, 2, 3, look at me. You can also combine the first and the second with some physical movement and some sayings. All right. So once you've taught them well, and you can start closing up your lesson. And usually, and it's a good idea to start doing it around 5 minutes before the end of the classroom, before the end of the lesson. And because you need to have some time to set up homework. Either you have diaries where they need to write that homework down. It could also be, for example, in my case, I teach them that they open the activity book, for example, and in their activity book, they put HW with a marker. So it indicates when they open, or when their parents open the workbook, aha, they know this is the homework, this is what we need to do. I try not to give handouts for little kids as homework, because they often lose them somewhere. They often leave them at home, and it happens that, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know, I left it, I forgot it, or they keep looking for them and they have absolutely no idea what the homework was. If you use the activity book, and if you use it consistently, they will know that in the activity book they have their homework, and this will be like, again, the little routine that they will remember. So my homework is mostly in my activity book. However, it's always possible to give them some extra materials for homework as well. In that case, I give out the papers. They also write HW, and they put in the beginning of their activity book, so they know that their homework is in the after the first page of their activity book. So again, this is something that they are used to, and to teach them that, it will take some time, but again, once they know it, they can use this information and be successful in your lessons. I try to tell the students that just saying, oh, yes, 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 I remember, is not the case, because they have a lot of information in their heads. If they, I don't know, don't want to write it down, I tell them to take the phone and take a picture of their homework, because at least somewhere they have where it's written or taken, where the record of the homework is somewhere. So they know that, or they should know that, they can look in their phones and check, see what was assigned. But more often, it's, if it doesn't work with students, it's better to ask them to write it down. Of course, in spring and autumn, early autumn, usually it takes them what, 1-2 minutes to put their bags on the under the chairs or next to the chairs and take out their books. But let's look further. The lessons in winter and what the kids wear in winter, it takes time. So they also need to know that they have some time to pack their bags and to leave, safely, so they can, they're not rushed, they're not pushed. They have enough time to pick up their stuff, put on their clothes, and quietly, or probably not very quietly, but leave the classroom. And if you have some fast finishers, and if somebody packed their bags, you can always ask them to help you with cleaning up or tidying up the classroom. So someone can clean the board if they want to. Very often these little assignments of helping the teacher are really appreciated by the kids, and they all want to help. So bear in mind that for them to feel acknowledged and respected, appreciated, you should give out these chores evenly and regularly to everybody, not just one student, just to show them that everybody is appreciated and everybody's help is necessary in the classroom. And after everybody finished cleaning up, tidying up, getting ready, saying goodbye. In my experience, I've been using it for very many years, probably 6, I would say. When they say goodbye, I usually stand at the door while they were packing, cleaning, probably the word. I move to the door and I tell them goodbye and I give them high five. So in our case, yes, with all this, maybe not hand to hand, but at least, like elbow to elbow. And I usually tell each and every student something like, thank you, see you next lesson, have a nice day, see you next lesson. This is something like, tiny functional language, and you can also check if the kid has books, yes, by just visually scanning the kid at the door, saying that, okay, he's packed, everybody's taken, okay, say goodbye, thank you for the lesson, goodbye. And this is also something that they really appreciate, and they always want to say goodbye and give you high five, and they get excited. And again, this is routine. They know that that's the end of the lesson. They know that this is like saying goodbye, and the circle of from saying hello to saying goodbye was finished. All right. So one of the other important things that we mentioned is praising your learners. And for them to feel appreciated, so we mentioned that we can give out some tasks, we can ask them to help each other, and also we can ask them to help you. For every and each thing they do in the classroom, it's essential to praise them. So it's a very good thing when you say thank you for your help, and the students will be willing to help you and will be willing to take part in the activities, and they will know that everybody is active in the lesson and everybody says thank you. Especially when you ask them to give out handouts to everybody, teach the receivers that they also say thank you. So that also will bring, the atmosphere of cooperation and positive, reinforcement in behavior. So smile, right, is always a very good thing. Yes, praising your students for active work. So as we've mentioned, for probably not only for homework, but you can always give them a smiley face if they did some sort of dictation in their copybooks, if they did an exercise either on a handout or in the activity book or pupils book. So again, with all we can't give out stickers all the time, so a smiley face or a star drawn by you will be also appreciated and regarded as praise. Mentioning positive reinforcement of positive behavior. So it's a very good idea to tell them that, oh, thank you for helping. That was very kind of you. And can you share your book with your partner? If the kid does, say, okay, thank you very much for your help. And the kids will be willing to do that because it's something positive, it's something they get praised for, and they will be willing to repeat that behavior because this is something that, the act of good will make them feel well as well. As for the bad behavior, of course, there are very many different issues, and anything can happen in the classroom. But if you try to build a positive behavior, and if you want to help your students become friendly in the classroom, of course, there's always something happens. They couldn't share a picture or something. It's fine. You can stop for a second or even 3 minutes because this is important. And you try to negotiate the conflict at this very moment. And you say, okay, so what's the problem? What's the problem? Can you please, if the conflict, if the one person is actually guilty of doing something and it's their fault that something fell, ask them to, it's okay, tell them, teach them that, say, oh, I'm sorry, that was an accident, or I'm sorry, let's not do that again. And we could also teach the other side to accept the apologies, because they sometimes, kids don't know how it works. They can easily fall out, but this mechanism of becoming friends again and acknowledging that if something was done accidentally, it's not the end of the world, and that we can still keep working. If your students misbehave in general, let's imagine they are in the mood. Sometimes we have classes and you can plan everything very well, but the kids come in the mood and it's very difficult to make them work, and they get overexcited and they start running around, and it's very difficult to control them. One thing that's not a good idea to do is to punish them with homework, because in general, the idea behind homework or the image of homework is not something positive. Very rarely students like doing homework, even though I've seen more cases when boys and girls like doing homework, but they're still not the majority. So in this case, you can work together, and at the beginning of your course, at the beginning of the year, you can negotiate clear reward system. You can find out what they want. In one class, my kids liked watching cartoons, any cartoons. In that particular time, Simon's Cat was very popular. Short cartoons, quick, and kids knew that they would, if they behave well, if they do everything well, if they try to speak more English in class, they would get their cartoon. If they misbehave, if they don't share, if they scream and shout, they knew that the cartoon may not happen. So I would usually write somewhere at the top or at the bottom of the board word, like a phrase, cartoon at the end of the lesson. And when they misbehaved, I erased letter by letter. If their behavior improved, I would write half of a letter or two letters back. So depending on their behavior, they knew that if they um, misbehaved, they could have lost their cartoon. If they worked more productively, the cartoon would come back. With another class, they were very keen on playing Kahoot. They didn't care which Kahoot. They played. We just chose a topic at the end of the lesson, and they would play it. They loved it. They adored it, and they worked again. The same system. We agreed that if they speak English and if they work productively and if we cooperate nicely, they would get it. At the end, they would play their Kahoot. If something was not up to the, if the lesson was not very productive, they might have lost it. So again, the important thing here is for the students to know that they not only can lose their praise at the end of the lesson, but they can also get it back. So they will be willing to work harder with you and with each other to get their praise at the end of the lesson. So this is something that's a good idea to clarify at the beginning. I have a colleague, her favorite with, kind of jumping forward to teenagers, which we will talk a little bit about later, but for speaking Russian, at the beginning of the year, she shows them and plays them the video of Lambada and or any other hilarious dance or like Baby Shark or something like this. And she tells them that she has like on the board the names, and if they get 5 points for speaking Russian at the end of the lesson, they dance this Baby Shark, for example. But again, this is negotiated, and this is not something that she brings to the classroom and insists on. Uh, the kids it was negotiated with her, with the teacher, and they agree on that. And basically, they know that this is not something super difficult to do. This is something they can, have fun and laugh at. And they also know that everyone can be at danger, let's say, of dancing that. So it could be different. So with closer, for example, to the end of the semester, my students, they work and, for example, 2 last lessons before the test, they work hard and they get some extra points for the test. So that's also possible, just to help your learners understand that they can also work hard and get some help at the end. Mhm. Right. Uh, so just a little bit about stirring and settling activities while the lesson. So stirring activities, they work to energize the students. Mhm. Uh, and when your students are a little bit tired and when they're bored with writing, so changes the focus and the students are back to working. And vice versa, if your students are very energized, and they would appreciate some calm activities, uh, something like, peaceful atmosphere. You can even use some uh, settling, maybe classical music, or maybe some sounds of forest, if you like them, yes, to calm your students down. So that's also can be useful. So if you would like to, you can take a screenshot. These are just typical stirring and settling activities. So everything that's connected to movement, something moving around physically on the floor or on the board, drawing at the board, running dictations, those are stirring activities. Everything that they need to sit down and do. And especially if we look at coloring, word searches, copying, crosswords, and matching, these would be more individual and settling activities. Now let's move on to higher levels and higher and older, students, and let's look at different cases. In your teenage class, if you know how to use reaction, can you use the reaction, give me thumbs up if you've had one of the situations here. One is a dominant student. Someone says something that nobody understands and they laugh at the person. Somebody doesn't want to work with anyone. Somebody doesn't want to work with as a group. They can't compromise. There's always someone who shows off and is sort of a, let's put it, clown, and takes off the attention. Sometimes there is another kind of show off. Somebody new who wants to impress everybody else. Very often, students who are weaker, but they still want to, and they understand that, they want to hide their linguistic incompetence, and they start acting out. Okay. So these issues, they can be tackled, and there are solutions to these situations. And first of all, at the beginning of the class, of your course, and also very often, you can even do it sometime after the break, like spring break or autumn break or winter break, when they go on holiday and when they don't communicate with each other very often. So you can rebuild this climate of trust and help them remember that this environment is safe and that they can talk to each other and they can trust each other and can be, and that this classroom is safe for them to work, to express what they want. A circle of trust, an activity when the students, they take a ball or a toy, and similar to the activity we did with younger kids when they shared with each other, this could be something they say, for example, one fact that nobody knows about them in the classroom. It doesn't have to be something super personal, but probably nobody knows that I like reading books in bed. or that I don't like tea with sugar. It could be something simple, but sharing the something simple will help you bring this trust to the group, and the students will be willing and they will to work with each other later on, because they will understand that they shared something with each other, and they can trust each other, and it becomes easier for them to in general to cooperate later. If you want to go further with that, there is a circle of trust. When everybody stands in the circle, one person stands inside the circle. This person closes their eyes and kind of starts falling towards people. And other students, they need to catch the person. Of course, the circle shouldn't be very big, so that the person kind of leans toward others, and they pass the person with their hands around the circle. Once it's done, you change the person. So in that case, everyone has this feeling that even if they close their eyes and if they kind of start falling, the classmates will support them, will help them, and will catch them. So we can do this, the circle of trust, if you want, at the beginning of the year, and the one with sharing some information probably later on when you have, for example, the break, or even you could use it after quarantine, because very often we if we're sent off to work distantly, then we can come back, and there is, to build up the climate or rebuild the climate, it would be a good idea to have the activity like that. Okay, it's as we were talking before, and it's more about your rapport. And with kids, in that circle, we were talking that when you model the sentence and you talk about yourself, you share, and the students will find something similar. The same thing here. Share your personal life. So something, right, that you enjoy doing. Something, oops, sorry. Yeah, something happened. So share your interest, share your friends, share your information about your family, about your hobbies, and it can even become a little project. They can make a little story with the picture about their last weekend, or maybe they can collect some pictures and tell about their last holidays. Now it's easier because we have phones, and there is also an activity, my last picture. And your students, or my favorite picture. So they open their gallery, and they look at the picture, the last picture they have in their gallery. So it's, for example, me and my friend at a cafe. So they can share their picture and say who the person was and what you did and why you like this picture. Or it can be set up as homework. You can give them a task to take a picture of something interesting in their opinion. And you can do the same while at the weekend or during some time when you don't have a class. You can take a picture of anything you find interesting. And later on, you can have like a mini presentation and they tell you, oh, okay, you know, I have a picture of this because I like, I don't know, dogs. Somebody took a picture of the sky and says, oh, this cloud reminds me of whatever, a horse. So this, when they share their interests, and it will also give you information for you as a teacher what to choose for them and how to motivate them and engage them more in the activities. And there is also something about their interests that you will know, okay, they're more interested in this than that. Maybe you can choose a film that to watch, a part of film to watch with them or something. It will also give you the information how they think and who thinks in an extraordinary way. There are people who like chess. There are students who like art. There are students in my class, for example, I was really surprised. 12, I think the boy is 12 years old, around that age. And when we were playing, it was something like a game. We were revising film genres, and well, everybody remembered the general ones. And this boy, he says, well, noir films. I was like, all right, that's very interesting. Can you tell everybody else what they are about? And so he explained that these films are, you know, kind of, they're called noir, which is black from French, and they are very gloomy, dark, and at times they're very sad. And he also said that um, his favorite director was Hitchcock. For a 12-year-old, liking Hitchcock is something very extraordinary, right? So, and now it gave me a lot of information that he is actually not competitive, and he has an extraordinary taste in general. So it's relevant to include something unusual in the lessons as well. So and try address his interests. So he is also you know, appreciated in the classroom, and he is an active participant. Right. So another way to keep teenagers as a group and as a you know, good productively working group, is asking them to play against you. Again, they can, for example, win points for a test, or win points for to, let's say, maybe to get less homework for holidays. So you can, again, use this the way you like. So tic-tac-toe, you can choose any activity, revision activity, gap fill activity, and as a group, they do one sentence, and they need to negotiate the answer. If they give it right, they win the point. If not, you win the point as a teacher. And the same thing for you. You give them the answer, and they need to say if the answer is correct. And you can sometimes give them incorrect answer to test if they are listening, and if they can catch it, they will get their point and they can win their point. Another thing, like prove your point, it could be debates, and they can work together. They can persuade, yes, each other to change the point. You can choose some even humorous points or opinions, and ask them to brainstorm some ideas, right, regarding sorry. So, for example, you gave out the points that imagine dogs are uh, the best animals in the world, and they need to prove, brainstorm some ideas that support that point. And the another group can take, for example, that point of view that cats are the best animals in the world, and they also negotiate and make a list of possible ideas to support that point. And then when you regroup them, they will work together with the partner, and they will need to try and persuade another person to change their mind. Um, since this is something that they prepared to do before persuading, it's also something that they will enjoy, because they will be sharing the ideas that they collected after working with each other. And having done it in a group, they will also feel some support, and that they have not one idea, but they have several, and they can use all those ideas to actually try and complete the task. Um, right. Uh, it's a very interesting thing that you can do. Again, it can be done at the beginning of the lesson or somewhere in the middle, at the end, as a little speaking activity. So they can have a mingling activity, which is called crazy compliments. They can walk around and make compliments about anything. It could be, you have nice long hair, or they can say, oh, these boots are beautiful. So it can be about anything. It can be even about, oh, your pen is very funny. So they can look around, walk around, talk to each other, and the task is they have to compliment on every person. And it can be something simple, and at the end they need to remember the craziest compliment, or the compliment they liked most. It could be just a simpler version without those crazy compliments. They can just express, let's say, what they like, I don't know, regarding weekends. It could be, I like it when I don't have a lot of homework. What about you? So they can share their likes. I like it when I have a lot of friends visiting me, or I like it when nobody calls me at the weekend. I like it when I go to to the movies with my friend. So anything that they like, and it will not be like testing what they know, but it's easier for them. They will express likes, don't likes. This will be more of like a free speaking, because they can continue with whatever they want. Mhm. They can even change it into negative if they want. I don't like it when something. Mhm. And again, it will give you as a teacher more information, and if you share with them, they will also feel that you are part of their community, and they will enjoy your company and enjoy sharing the information with you too. Okay. Mhm. So coming back to rules and making everything fair. So this is essential for all classes, not only younger learners, like very younger learners, students of secondary school and high school as well. So they can negotiate, they can tell you what how they want to do something, how they want to receive their praise. They can also make the list of rules they want to follow. For example, they not only visit your classes, but they also go to classes of, I don't know, like karate, dancing, whatever. And every teacher or tutor, they have their own classes, which can, and their own rules. So they can bring something in, you can work it out, and you can have them, kind of adapted rules in your classroom. This is something that you can use to create, again, this sense of not only you dictating them the rules, but actually them making the rules for their classroom, and that they all would agree with them. So as an activity, first they can write down 3 sentences. I'm here because I want to learn English, because I want to enter the university, because even this can be used as like, because my mom told me so. It's possible. Sometimes kids are forced to learn English. So even that, you can use all those sentences and have a pyramid discussion. And they can put them in the order of importance. They can discuss, let's imagine they have 20 rules. They can discuss which 10 are more important for them to be successful in this classroom. If they have a sentence saying like, I'm here because my mom told me, you can also work with it, and you can ask, okay, so but why do you think it's important for you? Why do you think your mom wants you to go here? So by asking the questions why, you can elicit from the student and raise their awareness that their mom wants them here not because just because, but because mom wants them to become successful, wants them to get a better job, wants them to be better educated, and so on and so on, and eventually have a more successful job in the future. Or probably easier life. You can also, if your students think that, oh, all these rules, why do we need them? And you can have a brainstorming activity. What will English give me? So teenagers can also have a mind map of English in the circle and brainstorm what can they have if they learn or if they know English. And they can go as wild or as imaginative as they want, and they will eventually see that English opens very many doors, and that English can give them probably anything they want. They can study abroad, they can then get a job. If they want to immigrate to any countries, they can, knowing English, they can do that. Even if they want to just travel to any English speaking country, it will make their life easier there, and the trip less stressful, or any trip can be less stressful. So by having that brainstorming activity and having your students getting all these ideas, what can help them English with, can it easily connects with the rules. So in order to get in order to become, let's say, in order to study in the university in America, you need to know English. In order to know English, you need to study hard. In order to study hard, you need uh, to have a productive lesson. In order to have a productive lesson, you need uh, to have a positive environment. In order to have positive environment, we need these rules. So it seems like these rules are just for here and now, but they're actually not. And if you show the students this route, that English and that here and now, the rules here and now will help them reach their dream in the future, it will also help your students acknowledge that's why you have these rules. It's not because you need them. It's not because you want them to have. It's because you want your students to become successful in their future lives. Okay. So apart from philosophy, and apart from having these wise talks with your students, they of course like moving. Teenagers of age 14, 15 probably don't need as many stirring activities as younger kids, because at the age of 13, 14, the bodies of boys and girls, they're growing, they're physically changing, and they spend, or the body consumes a lot of energy. And very often your students say, oh, I'm so tired. And you may think, why are you tired? You just go to school and you study. Of course you can be tired, but at the same time their body is changing and learning. The brain is learning and the body is changing, so it's like twice as much energy taken. So sometimes, yes, a little bit of active learning is useful, but not overusing it, because they really frankly feel tired. So something like short fillers, short activities. One of my favorite ones is when I elicit letters of alphabet from the students, and they just write them on the whiteboard randomly around the whiteboard. And then I give divide the team into divide the class, I'm sorry, into two teams. And I ask them to write any words that, for example, begin with the letter they choose, or can be inside the letter. Inside the letter can be inside the word. It's fast, easy, and they change. So one person writes one word and they change and they change and they change. To make your and their lives easier, so it's better to give them markers of different colors, just to be able to count the points later. So this is something very quick. You don't need any preparation. They give you letters, they give you the words. If you want to make it more difficult, tell them that the shortest word is 5 letters. So minimum number of letters is 5. So they can write something like that. The game, my favorite, perhaps from, or you remember from childhood, the game with clapping hands. Yes, and the last person, we had something that it was something like about street and house and something like this, and or something about a cow that was walking somewhere and it ate a word. So that's a simple similar activity. So the students put their hands let me like show like this, in front of each other. They can even stand in a circle, and they start playing as my, and the person next says favorite, and the next person claps, for example, color, and the next person is, and the following person says, let's say, red, and they one clap is then students spell the word. So it has to be R, E, and the last person who gets the last letter has to hide away from the clap. So something simple. You don't need to prepare anything for that. Back to the board. Simple game, everybody knows, but two teams sitting, looking at the board, and two people from these teams, they sit with their back to the board, and the teacher writes the word, and everybody who sees, they need to explain it, and the first person on the chair has to say what the word is, and they bring their team a point. Different miming, drawing, explanation games. I usually collect unknown words on cards and I keep them in the register. And with these words, we can play Pictionary. We can mime those words. We can explain the words. So there are very many different activities that you can use to work with them. All right. So another important thing that kind of, again, connects us to the rule and to why they learn English is because they need it for real life. So try to choose activities that that require students to express their own opinion rather than invent, because it's difficult to do two things at a time: invent an answer and put it in English. So try to use one difficulty at a time. So if you prepare an activity, it could be it could look like a game, even if it's a board game. It could be talk about for a minute, or if it's how do I put it? If it's a grammar board game, they can finish the sentences with their own ideas. Activity over to you. So this is, for example, like a typical activity for first or second conditional. Like if I had $1 million, I would buy a car. And the next person, if I bought a car, I would travel around the world. And the next person say, if I traveled around the world, I would get a lot of experience, and so on, so on, so on, until the game actually, or the story has or makes sense. So you can stop it once it's not that meaningful anymore. And catching the questions, so students can write down the questions on the pieces of paper, something that they would probably ask in real life. So it could be any sort of questions, and they put them in a pile. And they can take a ball, they can throw it to somebody, and that person will pick up a question and ask the thrower. And questions could be any kind of, like, from what's your favorite color to what are you going to do next weekend, what's your future job, and so on. So again, this is something that they will share their life their opinions and lies with. And you can revise also asking questions in different tenses and forms. So also one of the important parts why students don't know or misbehave is because they don't know what they need to do. So remember that your instructions should be clear and try to give one difficulty at a time. So if it's debate, they need to first brainstorm some ideas. Then you tell them, now exchange opinions, or now exchange partners, talk to your partner, try to persuade. Don't give everything in one single piece of instruction. It's becomes confusing, and the students will be lost in the task, and that will again make it unclear what to do, and they will be either interrupting everybody else around them, and they would get lost. And another important thing is at the end of the task, they usually need to give some sort of result. So that result is the communicative purpose of communication, either written or oral. So in that case, for example, a typical task would be tell your partner about your last weekend, remember 3 facts about your partner. And at the end, students will know that you will ask them about those 3 things, so they will need to listen to each other. Because at least something will be, or someone will be asked about those things. Okay, so in all these cases, so the same students always answer the question. If we go back to our problems, in this case, you can nominate and ask quieter students as well. Try to, in this case, Vasa could be talking about things that nobody is interested or nobody knows about. So at some point you can ask him to tell more, so everybody knows what it is about. If it's something linguistic, if Vasa doesn't know English very well or can't speak well, so you can help him and provide with prompts on the board. So he will use some sentences to put his ideas in the correct order. At some point, you can ask this person either to be mediator in the debate. So he could be a person who will be stopping someone and giving the word to another group, or the person can work alone. It's also possible. If the people do not participate in the group activities, make sure that everybody has a turn. Or if everybody, for example, if they don't speak, but then they will be the writers of the group, for example. If they can't compromise, try to find out the way you can say, all right, today we can do like this, but next lesson we will do like the other team wants. So make sure that there is a win-win situation, if possible. Okay. In that case, you can ask everybody, for example, to make a short presentation about things that they like, and everybody will have some time to show and to tell about their interests. About the newcomer, it sometimes with time it passes, but when the student tries to kind of show off and tries to either ask you a smart question or tries to, points out at your possible mistake. We all are human beings, and it's possible that we can make mistake. You can tell him or her that um, this is a very nice question. Can you help us and find out the answer yourself? You can also play it as if you don't know and ask him or her to find out the information and teach us next lesson. Hmm? And well, when the person lacks linguistic confidence, this is also prompting and asking the student maybe to take notes of what they want to say, and you can help the person by providing with some extra words in this. So in general, to round up our today's discussion is, we can say that building rapport is essential with your students, regardless of what age and what students we teach. When you share your personality and you share and you interested in what your students share with you, they will be willing to do that, and they will be willing to take part in your activities, which will lead to engagement. If they're engaged and they have fun, they will consequently be motivated. And when they're motivated to work hard and they know how exactly the class works and what the main goal of all your cooperation is, then the class will be successful, and every lesson they will be like, wow, it was such an interesting lesson, we like the teacher very much. And even if you don't bring fireworks to your lesson, but you're genuinely interested in what's happening, the students will like you, and consequently they will tell that to their parents, and the parents will see the results through the test results, through their motivation, and in general their how they express their attitude towards your lessons. So we all talked a lot about these things, and I mentioned a couple of situations, and I learned them from my trainees and colleagues who I met who had basically these problems. They all were collected from my colleagues and my students from different CELT-S and CELT-P courses all over, starting from 2017. And on these courses, yes, you can learn various things, and I'll just briefly tell you a little bit about them. So they consist of TKT exam. You mostly learn online by learning things on the interactive platform. In CELT-S, there are 8 modules and 8 portfolio tasks. They're like lessons that you plan, you teach with your class, and then you just submit a portfolio task online, and the teacher or your teacher trainer will send you the feedback and will answer your questions. There are 3 lessons that are observed, so you can either invite your tutor to visit your lesson face to face, or in some cases you can video your lessons, because we all understand the circumstances that are right now. And there are also planned face-to-face sessions or Zoom sessions with your trainer, where you discuss everything or part by part what you learned online, and you like talk about the questions you have and share your experience with your other trainees on the course. So self-test is useful if if you mostly teach secondary school kids, starting from age around 10, 11 up to teenagers. And CELT-P is more useful for teachers who work with younger kids, starting from 6 to 11, around that age. A lot of teachers appreciate that course, and myself, when I just became the trainer, I was a bit skeptical, but just from the first course, I saw the great difference between the first lesson I received from the teacher and the last lesson. There was a completely different teacher in the first and in the last lesson. So, okay, the courses are the closest courses start very soon, and these are the prices for today. If you decide to apply by this date, by the 13th or the 20th. And let me tell you, just a tiny second. And I will get to your questions. So if you decide to register and use the offered price, on the reception when you will be registering, and and just a second, tiny, sorry. Can you please mention this? There is like our code. If you wanna take self-test, you just say self-test 2020, and this will be the price for you. If you want to take CELT-P, it's the same, CELT-P 2020, and this will be the price for you. Right, so let's move on to questions. I'll stop sharing the screen, and I've seen a couple of questions. The recording, I think, yes, it will be available. If you want to take either of the courses and you have a TKT, it's you just don't take the TKT exam. You show us your certificate, and the price of the exam and the certificate will be subtracted from the price of the course. Okay, can I see? You know, sometimes they disappear. I hope. All right. Okay. If you want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself and ask a question. Okay, from Marina, if students are always hiding under the desks, are they like literally sitting under the desks? I actually let my students to, if we talk about writing activities, I very often let my students do the writing task where they want. If they want to sit on the desk, they sit on the desk. If you want to sit on the floor, I let them write on the floor. Probably it's because they feel comfortable like that. You can employ that activity, for example, hiding something, if they like hiding something under the desks, you can ask them, they can play a game, something like what's missing. You can put the cards or objects on the desk. And if they're sitting next to their partner, one partner closes their eyes, another person hides something under the desk, and then uh, they ask, okay, open your eyes, what's missing? The certificates will be sent to you. That's the question about the certificates. I think, if I'm not mistaken, yes, they will be sent later today. Okay, anything else I would be really happy to answer.
Yeah, I have a question. Which books are better to use teaching young learners?
Well, there are very many of them. Personally, I like very old edition of Happy Street, Happy Earth, Happy this thing, because they're quite challenging, but they're very nice. I know there are some. Again, it depends on how strong the students are. For example, if you need a weaker like kind of books that are for weaker students, and they're not very kind of packed with information, so that could be, for example, Guess What by Cambridge. Yes, if I'm not mistaken, they're by Cambridge. There is also like Superstars, I think. There is a set of books. I would say that basically there is also something like oh, I forgot the name of the book. Yes, there are a couple of those in Cambridge. Something like yes, Superstars go in Cambridge. For every, I would say for every class, it's usually more specific. If you're choosing for a school, then you need to choose the whole set, because it's more logical to go through the set. And you need to choose wisely, because sometimes the books, they don't have a range. For example, like for primary school, they have, let's say, only 2-3 books, but you need 4. So then for the primary fourth, you need to invent a wheel, and you can go find something else. There is a set of the books are called Discover. They are very interesting, but they are based on CLIL. So it's learning English through other like subjects and topics. So again, it's better to look at them, at what books you have, and in kind of in stock in Kiev, in Ukraine, and choose from the also based on what students you have. So if you Svetlana, I can write you like a letter with a couple of suggestions a bit later, okay?
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay, teenagers sometimes refuse to do some tasks. Well, yes, it's true, but they can, again, you need to kind of ask them, you can ask them why. Why don't you want to do it? Because it's very difficult to judge. Maybe they are tired, they don't want to get up. It's one thing. Maybe they don't understand what the task is about. Maybe the topic is irrelevant for them. For example, it's something that they're not really interested in. That could be the case. So the first thing I would say why, and from there you can ask them, okay, what would you like to do instead? And maybe at this point it could be relevant to sacrifice something, let them do what they want, and maybe postpone the task for the next lesson, or collect the ideas from them and adjust it into some sort of somehow that you can use it next lesson and make it more enjoyable for your students. Okay, right. So yes, thank you very much for participating. Thank you very much for today. We'll um, let you know about the certificates and about how to get the video. I guess it will be somewhere online on Google Drive and you'll receive it. And okay, Svetlana, I'll put an asterisk on my hand to send you a couple of suggestions of the books. Okay, everyone, thank you very much for participating, for joining in today. Have an enjoyable evening, have an enjoyable week. Stay safe, please. Have fun with your lessons, have fun with your learners, and I hope to see you one day face to face, either on the seminar or on the course that's the upcoming courses, because I will be one of the tutors on those courses. Right. Thank you very much, ladies. Enjoy your day and see you when I see you. Bye bye.